This is the Nikon L35AW. It's a 35mm film camera that is totally waterproof, which is the main reason I bought it, because it sounded like a fun way for me to explore new photographic territory that my other cameras couldn't handle. What I didn't expect, however, was how much I would love using this camera, not just in the water, but in every use case imaginable. Let's talk about the ways that I've been using this camera in the past 4 months. So obviously the first one is just using it in the water, because that's kind of what it was made to do in the first place. I can't explain just how fun it is to be taking photos underwater. It almost feels like I'm getting away with something that I shouldn't be doing. I think it's just like ingrained in me that cameras and water just don't mix. And it's just so fun to have a tool like this that allows me access into a world that I previously found inaccessible. Now, practically speaking, the viewfinder on this camera is really small. So when you're in the water and kind of getting swatted around by the waves and everything, it does make for a somewhat difficult shooting experience. I had to really jam my eye up against the viewfinder just to see clearly through it. There was water getting on the lens and the viewfinder, which made it even harder to see through it. And it felt like every time I was about to press the shutter, a wave caught me off guard and I would shoot as I was falling into the water. So I definitely had a lot of crooked frames coming out of the camera, and it felt more like a learning experience that I had to get used to. But overall, the whole point of it for me was really to just have that access to a new space. So I'm less concerned about perfection in this regard and more excited to just be able to shoot in the water in the first place. Now, very similar to shooting in a body of water, it's really cool to have a camera that I can take in any kind of weather that I'm facing, including a storm. These images were all taken when Laura and I were on vacation with my family in August, and they're so special to me. The rain caught us by surprise and we had to rush all of our stuff inside to keep it dry, but we quickly decided to just run back outside into the rain and splash in the water and dance around and just kind of enjoy this really beautiful and freeing moment. And if not for this camera, I wouldn't have had any way to document it and preserve these memories. Now, just because this camera was designed with water in mind, doesn't mean it has to be used exclusively in water. It's got a great 35mm 2.8 lens that is very sharp and renders colors really beautifully. Whether I'm walking through Chicago with Laura or going to grab coffee with friends, or maybe I'm in Yosemite and just using the film photographer cheat code that is El Cap. Whatever it is, this is just a really great camera that can and should be used a lot. Not just in water, not just in storms, but for everyday life too. Lastly, this camera features a built-in flash, which, well, smile. That was a little silly. I'm not gonna use that photo for anything. It's fine though. You smiled for it. I'm really proud of you. Anyway, the built-in flash is excellent. It looks really good on subjects. I personally love the way that built-in flash looks on film specifically. And again, it just adds to the versatility of this camera. You can already bring it in the water, bring it out in a storm, use it for everyday situations, and then at the very end of the day, when the light gets low, you've got the built-in flash to continue documenting what's going on around you. And I think that's kind of the name of the game with this camera. It finally feels like I've found a tool that can keep up with me in truly every circumstance that I could find myself in. It's not the fastest camera. It doesn't have the best optics in the world. It's a little clunky. It can be difficult to use. The viewfinder is a little small. There's a lot of quirks that this camera has, but ultimately for me, it checks off the most boxes in what I want in an everyday camera. And it allows me to go places that I literally couldn't go previously. Even just being able to walk into a body of water and start taking images without caring about what happens to the camera because it's meant for that situation is so freeing and has actually unlocked different creative ideas in my brain. And that's what all of these cameras are for in the first place, is to encourage us to create images that come to mind and to be able to document moments that are happening all around us. And I really do think that this is maybe the most versatile camera that I've ever used, which I know is saying a lot, but it truly feels like a companion piece that can come with me everywhere I go, I never have to baby it, I never have to worry about it. And to me, that is maybe the best feature any camera can have.